Incredible transformation. Lonely lumberjack spends 2 at auction, discovers life-changing love. Tom woke before the sun had a chance to rise, the chilling air of Appalachia biting at his cheeks. A lumberjack for 15 years, he was steadfast in his routine, an unyielding hammer against the weight of life. Swinging his axe, he felt the rhythm of the forest. Yet, amidst the trees, an aching loneliness filled him like a hollow log, deep and dark. Each swing echoed against the stubborn silence of the woods, a reminder of the loves and laughter he had lost. Days turned into months, months into years, and joy that once danced in his heart had faded like a distant memory. With crumpled bills dancing in his pocket, Tom decided to step out of the isolation for the evening. The local auction buzzed with small-town chatter, filled with familiar faces and neighborly smiles, yet he stood apart, a lonely figure swallowed by the warmth around him. He was offbeat in this town full of life. His hands, rough and calloused, felt foreign among the bright laughter and cheerful voices. As items of history were bid on and sold off, he remained silent, feeling the weight of detachment pulse in his chest. Suddenly, something stirred inside him when he spotted an old wooden chest, a relic, worn and mysterious. Without thinking, he raised his hand. $2, he called out. Laughter rippled through the crowd, but Tom didn't care. He had made the bid. As the auctioneer moved on, Tom gathered the chest under his arm, feeling the rough surface against his skin, a comforting reminder of his rugged life. Later that evening, as the sun dipped in hues of orange and purple, Tom sat cross-legged on his worn floor, the chest before him. With shaky hands, he creaked open the lid. Inside lay an old family photograph, creased and faded, but bursting with life. The faces smiled back full of joy, they were snapshots of laughter frozen in time. And there she was, Annabelle, his childhood friend whose absence echoed louder with each day. A wave of nostalgia crashed into him, mixing with the ache of loneliness that he couldn't shake off. He had heard she moved to the city, chasing dreams while he remained in the shadows of the mountains. Clutching the photo, a flicker of hope ignited. Perhaps, just perhaps, a reconnection could bring back the joy that seemed lost forever. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tom set out on his mission, traversing through paths of memory, rekindling old friendships, and relaying stories to neighbors. To his surprise, the townsfolk rallied around him, sharing snippets of struggles and triumphs, uniting together under the umbrella of resilience. Yet with each leap forward, his insecurities crept in like shadows, taunting him with the sharp contrast of Annabelle's new life. Would she see him as beneath her? His heart pounded as he approached Annabelle's parents' home, hoping to catch a glimpse of the girl who once shared secrets beneath the stars. Just as he reached for the door, a misunderstanding shattered the moment into 1,000 pieces. A rude comment from an onlooker ignited a fire in him, reminding him of what he believed to be true, that his worth would never match hers. The door to his heart threatened to close again. But could he conquer those ingrained feelings? Could he prove himself worthy? Desperation clawed at him, begging for a resolution as the memory of their laughter echoed in his mind. Would love and understanding prevail over barriers that seemed impossible to cross? As he wandered through the night, questions swirled, leaving readers to ponder the outcome of this emotional journey, waiting for the dawn to break anew. Tom stood on the threshold, the night's cool breeze brushing against his skin. The stars blinked brightly above, but all he could think about was the darkness that crept into his heart. He could feel the warmth of memories, the joy of those childhood summers with Annabelle, but they seemed far away, like dreams dissolving with the morning light. With collected breath, he pulled back from the door, shaking off doubt as he stepped back into the moonlit path. His mind raced. Was it courage or desperation that drove him now? The laughter of his memories punctured his solitude, pushing him forward. He walked away from the house, heart heavy yet determined, thoughts swirling like leaves in autumn that he needed to know if Annabelle remembered him, if she felt the same gnawing loneliness he carried, even amidst the vibrancy of the city. Maybe she too felt lost in a world of noise. Tom envisioned her smile softening after so many years, a bright light that could guide him home. Over the next few days, Tom practiced his approach. He pictured standing in front of her, articulating the fragments of his heart that had long been silent. Gathering the courage to call her felt like swinging the axe for the first time, an act driven by hope and fear in equal measure. He enlisted the help of old friends, gathering their support like logs to build a bridge to Annabelle Point. One afternoon, packed with determination, Tom finally dialed the number he had dug up with the help of some local chatter. As the phone rang, ringing thick with anticipation, he felt the deep breath swell in his chest. "Hello." A voice rang out across the line, hauntingly familiar yet layered with time. "Annabelle," he whispered, barely recognizing his own voice. "Tom. Is this really you?" There was a sudden vibrancy, a shock of recognition that bridged the years between them. I found something, a photo of us," he stumbled over his words. "I wanted to see you, to talk. It feels like there's so much we've missed." Silence stretched between them before she spoke. "I've been thinking about you, too. It's been so long. Can we meet?" Tom's heart raced, a surge of emotions flooding in. "Yes. I'd like that. How about the cafe on Maple Street?" "Perfect," she replied, her voice a soft light that guided him through the anxiety. When the day arrived, Tom stood intentionally in front of a nearby mirror, brushing a hand through his unkempt beard and smoothing out his worn flannel. He felt like a fool, yet the exhilaration of possibility surged. It was now or never. As he approached the cafe, a chorus of busy chatter surrounded him. He spotted her through the window, golden sunlight framing her like an angel. She'd changed, she radiated confidence and laughter, a woman sculpted by years of experience, but beneath the surface, he saw the little girl he once knew, just waiting to bloom. Tom took a breath, stepped inside, and let the warmth of the cafe enfold him. But with each step toward her, doubt gnawed at his gut again. What if they had grown too far apart? And then, just as he reached her table, the moment hung suspended like a breath held too long, waiting for the exhale. "Tom!" she exclaimed, her eyes lighting up with surprise. "Annabelle," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. All at once, a flood of shared memories and unspoken words poured through the aching chasm between them, but would this meeting bring back warmth or just further isolation? Little did they know, this moment was just the beginning of unraveling old passion and hidden fears. In that bustling cafe, everything seemed to hold its breath, leaving the question trembling in the air: could this be the start of something beautiful, or would their paths remain forever intertwined in sorrowful reflection? Tom took a hesitant step closer, his heart racing at the sight of her sparkling eyes. They glinted with familiarity, the very essence of the girl he once knew, mingled with the woman who had grown into a striking presence. The air between them was alive, charged with everything they hadn't said, but both seemed to be searching for the right words to break the silence. "Are you okay?" Annabelle asked, concern lacing her voice. "You look like you've seen a ghost." He chuckled nervously, a sound that felt alien yet warm, resonating with layers of their shared past. "Just trying to convince myself this is real," he admitted, a smile trying to break through the tension. "I remember the last time we met," she said, her expression softening. "You were so proud of your treehouse, sworn it would last forever." Her laughter sparkled like chimes, filling an empty corner of Tom's heart. "Yeah, well, those dreams were built on rickety wood," he replied, a twinge of embarrassment creeping in. "Still, some things never fade." Their conversation flowed, each sentence peeling back layers of time. They spoke of childhood secrets, embarrassing moments, and the little things that never quite left their hearts. He learned about her adventures, the places life had taken her, and he shared stories of his struggles and triumphs. Yet amidst the light-hearted banter, shadows grazed their conversation. Those unspoken regrets flickered just beneath the surface like tiny flames threatening to ignite. Tom glanced down, bracing himself. "We've both been through a lot, haven't we?" he ventured, his voice quieter now, a weight settling between them. Her gaze dropped, the laughter fading a touch. "I suppose we have," she acknowledged, her eyes swirling with unbroken connection. "I often wondered if you thought of me." It was hard to let go. "Hard for me too," he confessed, suddenly vulnerable. "Every step forward felt like leaving a piece of myself behind." Annabelle looked up, searching his face. "Do you think we could find that piece again? Together?" His heart swelled. Hope battled against doubt, but he couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, they could bridge that chasm if they tried. "I'd like that," he admitted, a tentative smile breaking free again. "I think there's more to explore." But the moment felt suspended, their connection shimmering in the air, when suddenly the cafe door swung open, drawing their attention. In walked two people friends from Tom's past, easily recognizable yet unfamiliar in this new context. They spotted him, eyes widening with surprise. "Tom! What a surprise!" one of them shouted, breaking through the intimate bubble that had formed. The warmth evaporated just a bit, the space they'd been sharing shifting into something else. Annabelle's expression transformed as she sat back, her face a mixture of disappointment and amusement. "Looks like we're not alone after all," she teased gently, but Tom felt the shift, the tension re-emerging as their past encroached upon their present. That he glanced at her, desperate to sustain the newfound closeness. Would their laughter withstand the interruption, or would it dissolve like sugar in water? "Hey, do you all know Annabelle?" he asked, attempting to refocus the moment. But he could feel her slipping away, the warmth of her presence flickering under the spotlight of old acquaintances. As the conversation turned into a party of awkward interactions, Tom felt a knot form in his stomach. What if the magic they'd found was too fragile to survive the outside world? The two sides of his heart, the reawakening optimism and the familiar fear, wrestled within him as laughter rang out around the cafe. Could this night, which had started as a promise, withstand the weight of the past and the unexpected? Tom looked back at Annabelle, hoping she still saw the spark that ignited before the interruption. And as he caught her gaze, he wondered, was it possible to keep the flame alive amidst the crowded noise of life, or would they have to face this tangled web of emotions alone? Tom's heart sank as the two friends approached, their excitement contrasting sharply with the charged moment he'd just shared with Annabelle. James and Lisa, both laughing and eager to catch up, pulled him into their orbit like a whirlwind, and he couldn't help but feel disoriented. It wasn't that he didn't want to see them, it was that he desperately wanted to stay locked in this moment with Annabelle. "Is this a new girlfriend?" James teased, nudging Tom with a playful jab. The camaraderie he used to feel with them now seemed distant, like a song he once loved but had forgotten the lyrics to. Annabelle smiled politely, but Tom could see the flicker in her eyes, the way the joy faded just a notch, retreating into uncertainty. With each passing second, the intimacy they had built started to feel like a fragile bubble, trading warmth for a chill of confusion as his friends filled the air with their chatter. "Actually, we were just catching up," Tom said, his words fighting against the intrusion. He wanted to pull Annabelle back into their bubble, wanted to lean closer and resume the conversation that had felt so real only moments ago. Yet, the more he spoke, the more he felt the distance growing. "Catching up, huh? Sounds like there's a lot of history here for us to dig into," Lisa said, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. She was a genuine friend, but her enthusiasm felt like an unwelcome spotlight shining on a stage where Tom had just found solace. The noise around him blurred into a white noise, like waves crashing on a distant shore. He looked sideways at Annabelle. She was polite, smiling through the awkwardness, but he noticed her fingers fiddling with the edge of her napkin, the small telltale sign of anxiety. He should have anticipated this, the joy of reconnecting clashing with the reality of shared history. "Maybe we could grab a drink sometime, just the three of us," James suggested, oblivious to the tension brewing in Tom's stomach. A sickening knot formed as Tom thought of what it might mean to dilute this precious chance at rekindling something with Annabelle amid the friendly chaos. "Sure, That would be fun, Annabelle replied too quickly, her smile stiff. Tom saw her retreat further into a wall of polite interaction, her captivating spark dimming with every laugh shared. He was losing her, right in front of him, and it hurt more than he could express. Tom, are you in? James asked again, momentarily shifting the energy towards him. He felt the weight of their expectations pressing down like the cafe ceiling suddenly felt lower. Tom hesitated. I think I need to talk to Annabelle a bit more. The defiance felt shaky, but he knew that their connection was worth the challenge, that if only he could share his thoughts with her now, tell her how the pull he felt toward her was stronger than any bond he had with friends from the past. But as their eyes met, he saw her uncertainty mirrored in his. Of course, buddy. Go ahead, James said with a wave, seemingly unfazed. With their attention turned away, Tom leaned slightly towards Annabelle, but she seemed lost in thought, almost like she was gathering herself before stepping back into the fray. I don't want the moment to end like this, he whispered, his voice low enough for just her to hear yet trembling with the weight of deep vulnerability. Neither do I. Annabelle replied, the regret in her tone almost palpable. Outside, shadows lengthened as night settled in, but here in the cafe, everything felt suspended. Could they find a way to reclaim the warmth they had just discovered? Or would time, noise, and old friends swallow them whole? Tom's heart raced with hope battling against anxiety. The weight of the past and the uncertain future both loomed large above them. Wait, can we slip out for a minute? He blurted, eyes wide with sudden determination. Annabelle looked taken aback, but, after a moment, a hint of a smile graced her lips. You really want to? Taking a deep breath, Tom nodded. Let us rewrite this story, he urged, and he saw her resolve forming. As they stood up to navigate through the thrumming crowd, he felt the old trepidation creep back. Would the night draw them closer, or was this a step into the unknown, a leap that could push them further apart? He could feel the weight of that question hanging between them as they approached the door. Would stepping into the night together reignite their flame, or would it extinguish under the reality of what lay ahead? The cafe door swung open, letting in a cool breeze that tousled Tom's hair and wrapped around them like a gentle embrace. It was a stark contrast to the warmth inside, but it felt liberating, like stepping out of a complicated chapter and into a fresh page filled with possibility. Where to? Annabelle asked, hesitant but hopeful. Her eyes glimmered with inquisitiveness, and Tom could feel the rhythm of his heartbeat quickening. The neon lights from across the street reflected a kaleidoscope of colors in her gaze, each hue sparking a sense of adventure. I don't know, anywhere but here, he replied, breathing in the freedom of the moment. As they walked side by side, a comfortable silence settled. Tom stole glances at Annabelle, studying her profile lit by the dim street lights. She looked almost ethereal, her breath visible in the chill. Each step felt like they were inching closer to something monumental, even if it hung just beyond reach. What was it you wanted to talk about back there? Annabelle broke the silence, a mixture of curiosity and caution in her voice. Her fingers brushed the edge of her coat, and he noticed how she shifted, still unsure but eager to bridge the gap that their friends had created. Tom took a deep breath, the weight of honesty pressing down heavily on his chest. You know how it felt in there? That moment between us? I don't want to lose that. I don't want to turn back into just friends after everything. Her expression shifted slightly, eyes widening. I felt it too, she admitted, the vulnerability in her voice peeling back layers he hadn't expected. But things have changed, haven't they? Yeah, he sighed, running a hand through his hair. But maybe that's okay. I mean, we can change together. Start fresh, as, whatever it is between us. They paused under a street lamp, the glow illuminating the path ahead, but also casting shadows of uncertainty. What if we don't know how? She asked softly, her voice trembling on the edge of hope. Tom felt a surge of emotion. The idea of letting this moment slip away was unbearable. But what if we do? What if we explore this? He looked directly at her, searching for a spark of encouragement. Annabelle's breath caught, and for a heartbeat, the world might have melted away. And what if it doesn't work? She whispered, the fear in her eyes nearly breaking him. It's worth the risk, he insisted. If we don't try, we'll always wonder what could have been. Her lips curled into a hesitant smile, one that spread warmth through his chest. Okay, she said after a beat, her resolve seemingly strengthened. Let us take that risk. As they started walking again, side by side but now with a shared purpose, the world felt different. Laughter echoed from a group of friends nearby, the sounds a distant reminder of the noise they had left behind. I want to know everything about you, Tom. The real you, Annabelle said, her tone serious but filled with warmth. Then ask. I'm an open book, he replied, amusement creeping back into his voice. Just be ready for some seriously boring chapters. Boring? She teased back, her eyes sparkling again. Somehow, I doubt that. Tom chuckled, relief washing over him. Maybe this would lead somewhere beautiful after all. But he realized something deeper too. What if they stumbled into unexpected territory, into things that could tear them apart just as quickly? As they wandered through the night, the air thick with possibilities, the soft glow of streetlights and laughter around them began to fade into whispers. What if we discover things about each other that we don't like? Annabelle's voice interrupted his thoughts. Then we'll face it together, Tom answered, a newfound determination in his heart. But if we don't try, how will we ever know? The question lingered in the crisp air, begging for answers. As they reached the intersection, with the night stretching endlessly before them, Tom felt a rush of hope entwined with dread. Would this truly be the beginning of something great? Or would they find themselves caught in the shadows of their pasts? The night unfolded like a well-worn map with surprises hidden at every turn. Annabelle and Tom found themselves at an intersection, their choices illuminated only by the flickering streetlights overhead. Each step felt heavier, charged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Maybe we should grab some coffee? Tom suggested, eyeing a small, dimly lit cafe across the street. The warmth pouring through its windows drew him in like a moth to a flame. Sure, that sounds good, Annabelle replied, her voice softer, the momentary glow of laughter from their previous encounter still clinging to them like a buoy in a vast sea. They crossed the street together, their shoulders brushing as they went. It felt electrifying, even dangerous in the best way. Inside, the cafe was crowded, a bustle of conversations threading through the air. The smell of freshly brewed coffee enveloped them, momentarily grounding Tom. Yet beneath that warmth was a whisper of uncertainty, and he wondered if their decision to peel away the layers of their friendship might expose raw nerves. They settled into a corner table. The atmosphere wrapped around them, creating a cocoon. Annabelle stirred her drink, her gaze fixed on the surface as if it held the answers to unasked questions. What is something you've always wanted to do, but never had the chance? She asked, her curiosity pulling Tom from his contemplation. The question caught him a little off guard. He leaned back, crossing his arms. I've always wanted to go on a road trip across the country. Just hit the open road. No real plan, just freedom, you know. She smiled, the kind of smile that lit her face and reached her eyes. That sounds amazing. What would be your first stop? Tom chuckled, warming to the topic. Probably somewhere with mountains. I love the idea of getting lost in nature, away from everything. He paused, growing serious. But I do want someone to share that experience with. Annabelle's gaze met his, and the room seemed to fade into the background. The edge of vulnerability in her eyes was unmistakable. Tom, I want that too, she said, her words poignant. I want to experience life beyond my four walls, and I want you there with me. The warmth in his chest ignited, and he felt the gravity of her admission. So we could be a team, then? He ventured, hope threading through his voice. Or a duo ready to explore whatever comes our way, she countered, her smile returning, brighter this time. The conversation flowed unexpectedly easy, each shared secret a brick laid towards something deeper. He told her about his childhood adventures, the laughter and camaraderie with friends, while she opened up about her struggles with loneliness and the walls she had built around her heart. As the coffee cups emptied, their connection deepened like the rich roast they had savored together, but just as the night seemed painted with possibilities, an unwelcome thought crept in. What if we're setting ourselves up for more heartbreak? Annabelle asked, her face shadowed with apprehension. Tom took a moment, considering her entirely. We can't let fear dictate our choices. We risk heartbreak every day by just feeling, he replied, his heart racing at the weight of his own truth. But isn't that better than standing still? I don't want to look back in years and wonder what could have been. As they left the cafe, a sense of determination surged between them. They stepped into the night, the city illuminated around them, and Tom felt the lingering taste of hope. But as they turned the corner, something unexpected caught his eye, the flickering of a street for sale sign, drawing his attention. Hey, what's that all about? Annabelle asked, observing his sudden interest. Curiosity lit her eyes, but in that instant, Tom wondered, was this the beginning of their adventure, or just another detour? What secrets lay across that newly illuminated path? Tom stepped closer to the sign, his heartbeat quickening as he read the words printed in bold letters. For sale, historic cabin, inquire within. It sounded like an invitation, a whisper of promise nestled within the urban chaos. He glanced back at Annabelle, whose expression was a blend of intrigue and excitement. Think about it, Tom said, his voice almost a whisper. A cabin in the mountains, it could be a place for that road trip we talked about. A starting point. Somewhere we could escape to whenever life gets too overwhelming. Her eyes glimmered with shared fantasy. We could turn it into our creative retreat. A weekend getaway. Just think of the possibilities. Each word strung together like sparkles of a dream they were weaving in their minds. The thought of a place to explore, create, and be free felt intoxicating. Annabelle, usually careful and reserved, seemed ready to embrace the wild. Let us go check it out, she exclaimed, her excitement tangible. Without waiting for a second thought, they made their way toward the nearby office that advertised the listing. As they walked, the city lights blurred into a kaleidoscope of shining colors, reflecting their bubbling anticipation. Inside the office, the air smelled of paper and ambition. A friendly agent greeted them, all too ready to share the history behind the cabin that had been maintained for generations. It's been in the same family since the 1940s, she explained, flipping through old photographs. It has charm and character that can't be replicated. Tom caught Annabelle's eyes drifting over a picture of a quaint porch, surrounded by trees. We could sit out there with coffee, she whispered dreamily, as if the cabin had already claimed a piece of her heart. The agent led them through a series of charming rooms, the creaky floorboards whispering stories of laughter and warmth. Every corner brightened their aspirations. But just as they stepped onto the small balcony overlooking a lush valley, Annabelle's smile faltered. What if we can't afford this? Tom looked at her, taking a deep breath. We don't have to decide now. Why don't we explore? Discover what we can do. His own heart was patched with a flicker of uncertainty, but he brushed it off. They were standing on the precipice of something new, and the risk only added excitement. As night settled in, they ventured back toward the cafe, sharing dreams of what could be. But shadows loomed behind their conversation, the reality of responsibilities tugging at their idealism. If we do this, it means we're really doing something, Annabelle mused. We're not just planning but committing to a new way of life. Tom nodded, feeling a mixture of exhilaration and fear. Exactly, and that's thrilling. But it's also scary, he admitted. The words hung between them like a fragile promise. Their laughter quieted, each aware that they were balancing on the edge of vulnerability. Just as a stillness wrapped around them, a loud crash echoed from down the street. They turned, surprised to see a stray dog darting between cars, clearly startled and alone. Something about those eyes, wet and hopeful, mirrored their own collective yearning. Could we help it? Annabelle asked, her voice softening. Tom watched as she knelt down, coaxing the dog closer. He felt a warmth swell in his chest, deeper than before. This tender act of compassion felt like a turning point. "Yes, let us try and find where it belongs," he replied, his voice laced with newfound determination. As they began their search, an unexpected question crept into Tom's mind: could this stray lead them not just to lost love but to something they hadn't anticipated, the essence of what they were willing to fight for together? What if this journey was about more than the cabin, more than adventure? What if it was about finding all the pieces of themselves they had yet to uncover? Tom and Annabelle scoured the streets, calling softly to the skittish dog that kept darting away, its thin frame trembling as it peered at them from behind a parked car. Tom could feel the tension in the air, a blend of urgency and hope spiraling within him. The streetlights flickered above, casting soft glows across their faces. "Come on, buddy, it's okay," Annabelle crooned, her voice gentle and soothing. Tom watched her, admiring how easily she connected with the frightened creature. It felt familiar, like watching her connect with him during moments of self-doubt. With each cautious step they took, the dog gradually wobbled closer. Tom's heart raced. "How do you think it got lost?" he asked, tilting his head as he crouched to match the dog's level. "Maybe it ran away from home. Or it was abandoned," she said, glancing at the scruffy fur of the pup that seemed to reflect its sad story. "It looks like it could use a friend." Tom nodded solemnly. The stray felt like a reflection of their own uncertainty, the fear of being lost in the looming challenges ahead. Just when it seemed they might never reach the dog, there came a sudden spark in its brown eyes, and with a hesitant shuffle, it dashed toward Annabelle. "Good boy!" she exclaimed, extending a careful hand. The dog sniffed her fingers, slowly realizing they came in peace. "See? Just like us," Tom said with a small grin. "You're brave enough to take the first step." Annabelle laughed, her joy warming Tom's heart. Just then, the dog pressed its head into Annabelle's palm, and she gasped, her face lighting up. "Oh! I think he likes me." Tom felt a swell of emotion as they stood wrapped in this small moment of connection. Finding this dog was no accident, it felt serendipitous, a sign that their own journey might lead to unexpected companionship and warmth. They quickly made a plan. "Let us get him some food," Annabelle insisted, thoughts racing ahead. "We can take him to the cafe, surely, they have leftovers or something." "Absolutely," Tom agreed, already imagining how it would feel to care for another being, just as they sought to care for their own lives. They hurried down the block, glancing back to see the dog follow them with eager, cautious steps. Once inside the cafe, the familiar chatter of customers and the rich scent of brewed coffee welcomed them. Annabelle asked the barista for some food scraps, and after some questions, they were handed a small tray of leftover sausage and bread. Before long, they were back outside, kneeling down to place the food on the ground. The stray approached, sniffing cautiously, before devouring the morsels with gusto. A small crowd had gathered, drawn in by the unexpected scene of warmth on the chilly evening. Annabelle exchanged smiles with those around them, the act of kindness wrapping them in a shared blanket of humanity. It was a simple moment, yet it filled the air with hope, and Tom couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. This stray was more than just a dog, it was a bridge connecting them to others, to the possibilities unfolding from this venture. As the last piece of bread disappeared, the little dog began to wag its tail, eyes sparkling with gratitude and newfound trust. Annabelle looked at Tom, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Should we try to find him a home, or even keep him?" Tom's breath hitched. Could they really take on that responsibility right now? The cabin had them feeling unsteady already. What if he hesitated, noting the adventurous spark in her eyes? What if this dog is meant to guide us, lead us to the right choice? Everything hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty yet brimming with possibility. There was a sense of something more at play here, an unfolding adventure that meant far more than just real estate. As they stood up, holding onto the pup's leash, both felt a gentle tugging at their heartstrings. They were not just trying to save a dog. They were claiming a future that called to them, melding their fears with a spark of hope. Let us see where this leads, Annabelle said, her voice resolute but excited. Together. Tom replied, and for the first time, he felt that the weight of the world could lift, just a little, if they fought for it, and with that, they headed into the night, feeling the heartbeat of their lives synchronize with that of the little creature at their feet, as they embarked on a path unknown. It wouldn't be easy, but they were ready to embrace the challenges, just as they were ready to embrace each other. But as they walked deeper into the spirit of change, whispers echoed in the darkness what other surprises lay ahead, hidden just beyond the horizon. The crisp night air was filled with the sound of Tommy's footsteps on the pavement, the little dog bounding ahead on its newly fastened leash, grateful and eager. The trio wove their way through the narrow streets, the soft chatter of locals drifting from the nearby cafes, creating a comforting hum that contrasted sharply with their earlier solitude. "What do you think we should name him?" Annabelle asked, leaning down to scratch behind the dog's ears. Tom pondered, watching the pup's tail wag furiously. "How about Lucky?" he suggested with a chuckle. "It seems like he lucked out tonight." "I like that." Annabelle agreed, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Lucky it is." As they made their way back to the cabin, Lucky occasionally stopped to sniff the ground or explore the new world around him. With every curious glance he shot back at them, Tom felt an inexplicable bond forming, as if Lucky were not just a dog but a reflection of their own hope and determination. By the time they reached the cabin, the warmth inside felt inviting. It was a cozy sanctuary filled with their shared laughter and dreams. Tom turned on the overhead lights, casting a glow that illuminated every corner, every memory made within these walls. "Let us make him some food," Annabelle proposed, glancing toward the tiny kitchen. She opened the fridge, pulling out ingredients. "He needs a warm meal after everything." "Right on it," Tom replied, gathering a bowl for Lucky. He could see Annabelle kneading some leftover chicken and mixing it with rice. Her movements were full of purpose, and it made him smile. It reminded him how caring she could be, how she always brought warmth into his life. Once the food was ready, they placed the bowl down as Lucky approached, sniffing intently. As he dove into his meal, the couple watched with laughter dancing in their eyes, excitement bubbling between them. "This feels good, doesn't it?" Annabelle said softly, her expression serene as she watched the dog eat. Tom nodded, warmth spreading through him. "Yeah, I mean we're giving him a second chance. It's like, we needed to save each other." Annabelle's smile faded for a moment as she turned to face him, the earlier joy replaced by a flicker of concern. "Do you really think so? Can we manage this with everything else we're trying to figure out?" "Together, we can do anything," he assured her, the conviction in his voice echoing the promise they both made to each other. Lucky looked up at them, finishing his meal and wagging his tail expectantly. Annabelle laughed, her eyes sparkling. "It's like he knows we're talking about him." As the night deepened, they settled into the living room, blankets wrapped around them, Lucky curled up at their feet. The silence enveloped them, but inside, a storm of thoughts raged. Tom glanced at Annabelle, her face illuminated by the firelight. "What if we're not ready for everything this change brings?" he asked hesitantly. She turned serious, looking at him thoughtfully. "Maybe it's never about being ready. Maybe it's about stepping into the unknown, trusting that we'll figure it out together." Tom's heart raced at her words, echoing what he had felt all along. It wasn't about being ready but about being brave together. It was a revelation and a promise wrapped in one. As they allowed themselves to relax, a feeling of contentment warmed the room. Yet, deep down, a question lingered: what challenges would they face with Lucky by their side? In that moment of quiet reflection, a faint scratching noise came from the door, sharp and persistent. Tom exchanged a glance with Annabelle, uncertainty filling the small space. What or who could it be at this hour? Tom stood slowly, heart thumping in his chest. "I'll check it out," he murmured, the thrill of the unknown dancing in the air. As he approached the door, anticipation crackled like electricity between them, a common thread binding their fates. What awaited them on the other side? Was this a new beginning or another twist in their unpredictable journey? As Tom opened the door, the night air rushed in, mingling the sweetness of wood smoke with a faint chill. He squinted into the darkness, heart racing with a blend of anticipation and trepidation. Standing there, illuminated by the soft glow from inside, was a figure of familiar silhouette holding an unexpected weight. "Annabelle?" A voice called out from the shadows, and Tom's heart skipped. "Mom?" Annabelle's eyes widened, shock and disbelief painting her features. It was her mother, the woman who had always urged Annabelle to chase her dreams, but whom she hadn't seen in far too long. "What are you doing here?" Her mother stepped inside, and instantly warmth enveloped them all. "I worried about you." Her voice, filled with care, fell gently like snow. "Word travels fast in this small town. I heard you were back, and I wanted to see you." The emotion cracked open something deep inside Annabelle, a longing that had been buried under layers of self-doubt and ambition. They embraced tightly, the kind of hug that breathed life back into old connections. Tom caught a glimpse of it, the lifting of a heavy weight on Annabelle's shoulders. "Mom, this is Tom," she introduced, standing back. "We reconnected and well, we found a dog." "Lucky," Tom added with a sheepish grin. Her mother knelt, eyes sparkling as she stroked Lucky's fur. The little dog wagged his tail with unabashed glee. Underneath the surface of the tender moment a bigger connection was forming. "You must be the one who helped my daughter find her way back," her mother said, looking directly at Tom, a warm smile breaking across her face. "Thank you for being here for her." Tom felt like he was lighting a candle in the darkness, flickers of new hope dancing around them. "She's been my anchor too. We're figuring it out together." As the truth of their collaboration settled, Tom learned how crucial embracing vulnerability was for both of them. Annabelle's mother studied them thoughtfully, the pause thick with unspoken words. "Life's about taking risks, isn't it? Just like the first steps of this little guy," she gestured toward Lucky, who was now pawing at Annabelle. "You have to let yourselves leap into the unknown." In that moment, with shared understanding, something inside Tom vibrated, a realization that he wasn't alone anymore. They were all seekers of growth, with hearts that had suffered yet yearned for connection. "Would you join us for coffee?" Annabelle asked impulsively, excitement spilling from her. "I'm so curious to hear what you think of Lucky and us." Her mother nodded, a smile creeping across her face. "I would love that." As they settled back down in the warm embrace of their cabin, rich conversations unfolded like notes shared between old friends. The laughter and stories washed over them, mixing effortlessly with the presence of Lucky, who nestled between Tom and Annabelle. Despite the struggles that lay ahead, the uncertain future, the challenges of transition, Tom felt a firm resolve build within him. Life might deter them, but they would face it as a family, Annabelle leading with dreams, her mother wrapping them in support, and Lucky jumping with a wagging tail into every next adventure. As the night deepened and the flames flickered gently in the hearth, Tom glanced at Annabelle. The spark between them felt palpable, thickening the air. "We can do this, can't we?" he asked, a silent pledge woven into his words. "Together," Annabelle echoed confidently, and when she smiled, it brightened the dim corners of the world. With laughter echoing in the air and the weight of their past shifting into something lighter, Tom knew that they were finally home. Their journey wasn't just about the cabin or even about Lucky, it would be about living each moment bravely, navigating the intricate threads of love, family, and personal transformation. And as they shared hopes, memories, and aspirations into the night, a new chapter of their lives began, a beautiful blend of adventure, connection, and sheer love waiting to be written. The three of them, bonded by circumstances and chance, took a moment to look into the future. As possibilities illuminated before them, they felt a united heart beating like a drum, pulling them toward the promise of a life filled with joy. As the dreamscape of their new beginning sparkled into view, it became clear, every heart deserves healing, every journey deserves companionship, and, indeed, every story needs its hero. Now, as they stepped forward together into the dawn of tomorrow, the world awaited, and they would embrace it together, and before you go, this is your moment to make a difference. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really matters. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, and don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.